Hey, this is JD, and I'm here with Vicky Rowe and AJ Ermits tonight on Got Mead Live. From beekeeper to mead maker, we'll be talking with Zeb Johnston from Lions Head Meadery in Yorktown, Virginia. Plus, the update on the Great Pumpkin Project and an extended version of Ask Oscar as he discusses nutrients incisors with Vicky and I. So go get your mead and your phone. Get on back. Got Mead Live starts in less than 30 seconds. Well, we'll make it a quick 30 seconds.
27 seconds, but who's counting?
And a half.
It's just enough time for me to, get everything all straightened out here and get all the right stuff in front of me. And, so that's the reason why.
Find your glasses?
Yeah, find my glasses.
Yeah, did you find them before this time?
You think? Yeah, so that worked out very nice. But the reason why we do a 1-minute intro is that I need a little bit of time to kind of get all the buttons arranged and everything else. So, but hey, we are here. I want to throw a shout out to somebody I met over the weekend. The wife and I took off for a little day trip, a little excursion out towards Oak Glen here in Southern California. It's the apple orchard country east of us here. And I met a young gal. Her name is Cheryl at Willowbrook Apple Farm in Oak Glen. And I had to stop because, ladies, there was this big sign in the road that said, guess what?
French fries?
Honey. So I had to stop in and say hello. So hello, and a shout out to Cheryl at Willowbrook Apple Farm in Oak Glen, California. Drinking. What are we drinking tonight?
I have a pre-production bottle of wild berry pie mint from Bee Nectar. They don't even make this anymore. And I discovered it whilst rootling through my stash. So this was a bottle I got before they actually opened their doors, which was kind of cool. So I'm tickled to be drinking it. It's a big-bodied pie mint with tons of flavor. And it's a teensy bit oxidized, but it's like 12 years old. So it's great. Yeah.
Wow.
Dusting them off, eh?
Yeah, I did have to dust it off.
Tonight I've got some cider that I made as a tribute to a friend of mine who died last year. We're gathering to massacre pumpkins this weekend, and I'll be serving it on tap in a friend's keg. The apples for this one were picked in August, and the rest, what didn't fit in the keg isn't bottled yet, so I was pouring it right out of the carboy, which is always a fun thing to do.
That works.
So I had to sweeten it up a little bit because it turned out a little bit on the sour side.
Yeah. I'm drinking a hard apple cider, I guess you call it, because it was made with honey. So I guess this qualifies as a cider.
How much honey?
I don't know.
Yeah, not to pick nits, but for anybody, since we're going to be talking ciders on Ask Oscar tonight, for it to be a cider, more than 50% of the fermentable sugar would need to be from honey.
Yeah, it's just apple juice and honey. And
yeah, basically as a cider.
Yeah, basically. It's, it tastes like a tart apple, a little on the dry side, just like I like it. And this is one of the very few things that actually made it to a bottle in my own little in-house meadery. So I'm rather proud of it, actually.
Yeah.
So welcome to Got Mead Live here on another Tuesday night in November. According to a study by the American Mead Maker Association, Vicky and AJ, mead producer, the mead community, mead making community, professional mead making, I guess, has really exploded 130% since 2011. Mm-hmm. Mead is now the fastest growing alcoholic beverage category in the U.S. surpassing craft beer. You believe that?
Well, yeah, but we're still, as a percentage of the greater wine market, still just a very small drop in the ocean, but we're making bigger dents every day. So yeah, and I would say it's a lot more than 130% since, what'd you say, 2009?
2011.
Yeah, I think it's more like 250%.
Oh, I'm sure it is by now. Yeah, and I mean it's just.
I'm the one where they get all those statistics from. So yeah.
Growing extremely fast. And again, welcome to Got Mead Live. You can become a patron member, a supporting patron member at gotmead.com. $25 a year. That gets you access to a whole lot more. You've heard me preach and preach and preach. I should really put one of those frocks and the collars on and start maybe become the gotmead.com reverend.
There's a scary thought.
But get that patron access. I'm telling you, you're going to be amazed. I mean, all of the things become available to you. Pay that $25. It also helps, Vicky manage and pay for the websites and all the stuff that goes on here, including this radio show every Tuesday night. So $25 a year is all it is. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, that's what, a bottle and a half of mead.
Yeah. Depending on what I come up with, that may go up a little bit. But for now, I'm leaving it while I explore avenues of new cool things to give my patrons.
I mean, even if it's $30 a year, or whatever it comes out to, I mean, it's still well worth. If you're a serious mead maker and you really want to get into this hobby and really do it well, this is the place to get your information from. And I mean, there isn't any other place. Check with me, okay? There just isn't any other place. So get that access and get your fees in. Facebook, Got Mead, real simple. Twitter, you can talk to us during the show, at Got Mead Now. And then Ask Oscar. You just go to the radio page here on gotmead.com, and I believe the link is right there under. You just what is it? Hold your mouse over the deal, and how does that work?
Just go when you put your mouse over the Got Mead Live radio show, the Ask Oscar link pops right up. Plus, it's also on the main page.
There you go. And please do us a favor. Do Oscar a favor. Do Vicky a favor. When you're filling out the information, you have to be as complete. Well, no. How did we say that last time? You must be.
I want to know what you put in it, how long it was in there, what the temperature was, beginning, middle, and end, what you were doing every day, the kind of music you were playing, how you were holding your mouth, the temperature in the room, what kind of clothes you were wearing, and whether or not your spouse was home, if you have one.
All of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you want to kind of tell us every little thing, even, I mean, I'm being a little ridiculous, but you want to tell us as many details as you can, because, for instance, if you tell me that you did A, B, C, D, and E on batch one and it was 70 degrees in the room, and A, B, C, D, and E, it was 6 for me.
I think you lost there just for a minute.
Yeah, Vicky, you just cut out.
Yeah. Okay.
She's back. Yeah, but the bottom line is, you just have to be as complete as possible and get all of the right information in, because Oscar and Vicky can't help you if you don't have all the information. So,
and they don't have time to chase you down to get more information.
Exactly.
And we won't try. Honestly, if you don't give us a lot of info, your question will just sit there. And we're not being mean. We both have jobs.
The call-in number, put this on your smartphone, make it a speed dial, 818-921-4680, 818-921-4680. The show links, simple, gotmead.com website. Just go to the radio page and the player is right there. If you're mobile, you can take us with you. You can download the app from gotmead.com for both the iOS and Android devices from gotmead.com. That includes the TuneIn app, which is our mobile live player that you can take right along with us with you on the road. So and then of course all of the replays are available right there on gotmead.com as well. So with that, you know what, we need to step away, take a real quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Zeb Johnston. Sit tight.
for the most amazing and creative alcoholic beverages made from honey. Bee Nectar is a worldwide sensation. Bee Nectar gives their fans a variety of options, from their famous Zombie Killer, a hard cider made with honey and cherries to kill all the golfers, a lightly carbonated draft mead made with black tea and lemon juice. Bee Nectar makes mead, ciders, and beers that extend beyond the traditional. They let their imaginations guide them. Learn more at beenectar.com. That's beenectar with a K.com.
If you're a mead maker, you need gotmead.com. It is the absolute best and most complete resource for mead making you will ever need. The forum consists of recipes, discussion on equipment, techniques, and methods, complete with its own batch calculator. Gotmead.com offers everything you need to start making mead today. And for just $25 a year, as a patron member, you'll have access to proven award-winning recipes, fermentation management, equipment discussion, and a whole lot more. Gotmead.com. Sign up today.
Growing up in a culture where home winemaking was a way of life, Sergio Mutella naturally began making wine himself as an adult, finding his way into brewing beer and eventually his discovery of mead. Earning numerous mead-making awards, Melovino opens his doors, becoming the first meadery in the Garden State. Featuring 20 different craft meads with amazing variety, Melovino is the fastest-growing meadery in the country. Melovino offers tastings and tours every weekend, and all of their meads are available online, shipping to 22 states across the country. Go to melovino.com and book your tour and tasting today. Located at 2933 Vauxhall Road near the rear of the Millburn Mall in Vauxhall, New Jersey. melovino.com.
Hey, this is J.D. Webb from Got Mead Live. You know, it's all about the mead here at Got Mead, and I have to tell you, I am in love with Fling from Moonlight Meadery. The way they balance the tartness from the rhubarb against the semi-sweet strawberry and orange blossom honey is just amazing. Do yourself a favor. Go buy some Moonlight Meadery meads now. Visit them at their online store at moonlightmeadery.com/store or ask for it where you shop. Demand it where you shop. Ask for Moonlight Meadery mead. And we are back live here on Got Mead Live, and our guest, Vicky, was a beekeeper. I guess he still is a beekeeper who was selling honey in Yorktown, Virginia. I guess at the Yorktown Market Days. Must be like a farmer's market out there. And apparently some customers asked him about making mead, and so he started making mead. So please welcome Zeb Johnston.
Hey, Zeb, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Cool beans. So you went from doing the beekeeping thing, and so what happened? You were selling your honey, and folks started asking, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. They'd ask me for honey, ask me for very specific amounts, which I later learned was exactly the right amount for a 1 gallon, 3 gallon, or 5 gallon carboy.
I've done that at my apiary too.
Get a little deja vu there. Wow, wait a minute. That's why they wanted that.
Yeah. So it didn't take long for me to look it up, figure out, hey, I can do this, and started making it myself. And the rest is, I'm still writing the history.
Yeah, well, it's becoming history as you go forward. So once people are going, hey, do you make mead? Okay, this is maybe a little self-serving. Where'd you go to learn how to make mead? What was the first place you ended up?
Well, I got on Google and right away started coming up with sites. Got Mead was one of them. Found some recipes. Mm-hmm. One of the first recipes I found was a blackberry mellow recipe that won an Alaska gold medal.
Nice.
So in addition to a traditional recipe, that was the next one I started with, and from there just started modifying my own recipes and tweaking and learning. And it's not just the recipe, the process is also very important. So that was a good step as well.
That's good to hear. That's something that not everybody realizes at the outset, that having a great recipe doesn't help you at all unless you've got the methods working.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did you get started with keeping bees? Is this like a personal thing, or is this your business?
I've always had really bad allergies, and I developed a motorcycle habit a few years ago. And out on my motorcycle runs, I'd come up to these farm stands and buy local honey. And I started carrying a backpack just so I could bring local honey back with me for my own allergies.
Nice.
Oh, neat.
And then the motorcycle habit got a little expensive, too many tickets, too many modifications. I needed a new hobby, so I got
From motorcycles to beekeeping. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see that logic chain, but all right.
Hey, I'm telling you, it got expensive, and so I love beekeeping. You know, the day job can be challenging. I can go out there, work with the bees, sit there and just watch them, and it's a very peaceful, natural experience. And I love working with the bees, and I've been doing that for many years now. I got my MBA. I needed something more to do since I wasn't at school all night, and started a beekeeping business as a practice business where I could start selling local honey at the market.
Okay. So that's your kind of your second job then after the job.
Yeah, well, I'm a beekeeper and mead maker first, but I do my day job 40 hours a week so I can afford the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, you're not the only one like that.
Yeah, paying for your hobbies.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my honey seller today, as a matter of fact. So, like how much affiliate money do I have with you, since I'm constantly sending you people? I need honey.
Right?
She's like my pusher,
Keep feeding the habit, Vicky.
That's right. I got a honey pusher, and boy, is she good at what she does.
I like AJ's plan of trading honey for mead.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way I can legally make it pay for itself.
Yeah, I did that for folks too. People would buy the honey, and they would buy the honey and whatever else it was that was going to go into it, and then I would
just
make
go a
the
bottle
mead
for
for
a
them.
bottle.
Yeah,
I go a bottle for a bottle, and that works.
See, I was doing contract meads basically. They buy the materials. Yeah, I'd make all the mead and keep 25% of the resultant production, and to give the rest to them.
Yep, I've done that too.
Yeah, it works.
So Zeb, how many hives are you running?
I have 10 here and 2 at my dad's house. I had 11 until about 2 weeks ago, but one of them swarmed, and that hive I disassembled. So I have 10 now. Hopefully they'll all make it through winter, but I typically lose about a third of them through winter.
Okay.
How much honey do you get? I have no idea, and I've always thought that I wanted to be a beekeeper, especially after getting to this mead thing. But how much honey do you actually get out of a hive?
You can get 50 to 100 pounds per hive per year, but not in the first year, only in the second year and the years thereafter.
That's one of those white boxes that I see out in the orange groves.
Yes.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So you're talking a 5-gallon pail or more.
Yeah.
Out of every hive. That's pretty nice. And yeah. I noticed that you said something in your write-up that your bees hang out in organic areas. You don't have commercial farms where you're at. So you have bees without pesticides then? Or at least less pesticides?
More or less. I live in the middle of a neighborhood. I have 1/3 of an acre as my property. I bought this house with knowing where I was going to put it, hide it behind the garage under the trees with an 8-foot fence, a certain distance between my neighbors, their houses, and this neighborhood is absolutely not near any commercial farms. It's just in the middle of a neighborhood in suburban city.
Okay. And are you near Yorktown or?
Yeah, I'm about 10 miles from Yorktown.
Okay. I'll have to put you on my mead trail next time I get up Virginia way.
Yeah. What, so your hives, so you have 10 hives right now. Is that what you're using for all of your mead production?
No.
Okay.
No, I use a lot of it for my meads right now, but when I go into commercial production, that will not support as much mead as I want to make. So I will be buying from other beekeepers for sure.
You're going to try to stay mostly local, or at least in state,
if possible. Local honey can be considerably more expensive than, commercial bulk honey.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, I mean, there are independent honey providers that can do bulk that do have reasonable prices. You just got to find them.
Yeah, but I don't know of any commercial beekeepers in this immediate area. And beekeeping with just a few hives like that is very timely and very expensive. And the commercial guys can afford to do it for much cheaper because they have, the equipment, the investment. That is their full-time job, and they can do it very efficiently.
Yeah.
A small-time beekeeping is a lot of work.
What's the most difficult thing about being a beekeeper?
Keeping the neighbors happy. You have to make sure not to steal the honey at the wrong time of year. The bees will start to realize, hey, there's that guy again. He took all our honey last time. And then, you got to make sure that the bees are happy. If they're happy and they're not getting used to you stealing it all the time, then they won't go after the neighbors and keep the water out.
Hey, this is beekeeping 101. How do you keep a bee happy?
You don't steal all their honey at the wrong time of year.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Like the first couple of years I would go to market, I would go every other weekend. And on the off weekend, I would try to collect as much honey as I had. As much honey as I could from the beehives. Well, they don't collect that much honey in 2 weeks. And when you go back every 2 weeks, they start to recognize, hey, there's that guy stealing our honey again. Let's get him before he gets in our hive.
Oh, dear.
So there is a trick. Now I have a lot more hives. I don't mess with them except for every few weeks. I'm more strategic. I don't steal their honey after about June. They actually keep a lot of their honey from June on through the rest of the year. That's the honey they live on through winter. And whatever's left after winter, that's what I collect in April and I sell at the market. And then whatever they collect in May and June, I'll take that. And then the honey from June, July through the rest of the year, that's all there is again.
It was several months ago. I don't know who it was, but I watched this video about this colony collapse that happened really not all that long ago, I guess. Is that still a concern today with beekeepers? Is that something that you're concerned with?
Absolutely. I think personally, that it has more to do with the commercial beekeeping and the commercial pesticides. I think the average, survival of the fittest, a beekeeper can expect to lose about a third of their hives, and that's no real cause for concern. If you start losing 2/3 of your hives every year, then there's something going on. It's the colony collapse disorder, which could be a combination of varroa mite, pesticides, a lot of other issues. But yes, it's still a very real concern.
Yeah. Interesting.
Sadly, that comes along with too much civilization, like so many other things that we're having to deal with.
Yes. But I personally believe that the more we encourage local, suburban, city beekeepers, the way you get away from the pesticides, that's how you're going to keep the bees going, and you're still supporting your neighbors. And people want that local pollen in the honey, so you're also serving that market.
Yeah.
Well, and I noticed that you said earlier you have a lot of allergies, and while you were motorcycling about with your backpack, you were collecting local honeys to to help with your allergies. So you were using the desensitization effects of honey then, right?
Exactly. My mom thought I just coincidentally got sick every April and May for the first 3 years, as a child. And the doctor finally said, no, he's not getting sick every year at this time. He's got allergies, really bad allergies.
Wow.
Yeah, that's miserable. When I moved from northern Michigan to central Georgia, I discovered the whole, if you cross more than 3 state lines, then you have a whole new set of flora and fauna to deal with. I thought my face was going to fall off in April and May. It hurts so bad.
Yeah.
My allergies are sort of, sometimes exposure makes them better and sometimes exposure makes them worse. Depends on the allergy.
Wow.
But there's something about the East Coast. Like when I fly out to Colorado for the Mazer Cup or to visit friends, I can, as soon as I hit that the mountain range coming back, I get stuffy again.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that basically for me, it seems to average out to about 3 states away in any direction.
Going north or south?
Yeah, if I get more than 3 states from home, you'd basically, if you're more than 3 states from home, at least from what I've seen, there's sufficient difference in the local pollen producers to affect things, because I've acclimated now. I've been in the South for 25 years, now 30 years. So now I'm used to it here, and now I get allergy symptoms when I go back home to visit my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. So never had allergies growing up. I didn't get them until I graduated college, got married, got a job, and moved away. And then I got allergies. It's like, oh, thank you. So you guys are shooting for sometime this year, assuming the TTB cooperates. What are you going to lead out of the gate with? If you want to say, if we're dipping into secrets, please tell us.
Well, I've got to have a traditional, a good traditional mead, semi-sweet. I feel like I have some pretty good recipes on that. I've also done several iterations of a cherry recipe. Blackberry is kind of where I started with, and I've tried a lot of different yeasts, a lot of different, I did these 6. Now I'm going to pick this one I like the best. I'm going to tweak that recipe a little bit and go from there. But mostly the melomels.
Okay. And those are easy sellers is the nice thing. Are you guys going to have a tasting room when you open, or are you going to go for just direct to stores? Or, what's the plan? I don't know what the rules are in Virginia.
We'll go direct to stores and restaurants.
Oh, nice.
We have the 3-tier system here, but there is the Virginia Winery Distribution Company, which allows you to kind of skip the distribution step. And it allows you to start off and grow within the state without giving up such a high percentage to the distributors.
But that's handy.
We won't have a tasting room at start. The expenses for starting up a tasting room, building it out, 6 months of, leasing a space before you can get your first TTB permits, that's pretty expensive. So,
yeah. Well, and you're near a pretty large metro area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Washington, D.C. or Richmond, but still, there's a lot of people in Yorktown.
Yeah, we have the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. There's well over 1 million people in this area.
Well, and you got a couple of major highways going through that area too, so that's good.
Yeah. Certainly not as busy as Melavino's spot in New Jersey and New York, but
oh my God, yeah, I visited there, and I think I sat through like 6 light iterations at the light that's like a block and a half from its location. I was pounding the steering wheel and screaming by the time I finally got through the light. It was like, serious? It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't even want to know what it's like at rush hour.
Oh, God.
I mean, literally 6 iterations of this light. It was like, come on.
Yeah, DC is pretty much the same. You don't go there at certain times of the day. That's that.
Yeah, I just assume that I'm going to be screaming and pounding on the steering wheel if I have to go anywhere near DC. Doesn't matter what time of day or night. It just kind of sucks,
Yeah.
During the day, it's full of cars, and during the night, there's less cars, but it's full of construction. So,
Well, it's better than trying to do this construction at the same time the cars are there.
Well, they do that too.
Oh, well.
This is Washington, D.C.
That's what they do in California.
Yeah. In Michigan, we called it road destruction season,
Zeb, you said you entered some of your meads into competitions. How well did you do?
Some of them I did pretty good. The first competitions I didn't. I got a lot of good feedback. We'll put it that way. I went to the Domrus Cup in Savannah, went to the Mazer Cup, and I got excellent feedback. Then I did well with a traditional at Mead Free or Die, and got a best of show at Meadlinium this year, and that's in Florida. And I've been so busy over this summer, I haven't done any more competitions after that, but I think as a new mead maker, it's important to go to these competitions because you get such wonderful feedback, and they tell you how to improve on your recipes. They can taste things that you may not understand. I mean, let's face it, all my friends loved it, but they've never had mead before. So getting involved in these competitions and learning from experts and hearing that feedback and how to improve things was very, very valuable.
Was there a particular recipe, or were they a mix of traditionals, melomels?
I had two different traditional recipes. One I called Sarah's Choice. That was when I was trying a different yeast, and that was a 71B yeast that won that. I had a strawberry melomel that placed at Meadlinium as well. And I can't remember what the second traditional recipe, what yeast that one was. But it seems like the tastes vary around the country. People's taste buds are different in different areas. What does well at one competition barely gets noticed at another.
Weird.
Yeah. What, there's probably a lot of people out there wondering, where do you start? I mean, where do you start when you're thinking about putting a meadery together? Can you kind of describe the process that you had to go through, and what's involved? As far as trying to get a meadery, opened up.
For me, it was, hey, I love this. I love this drink. I used to say, if you can't afford a good drink, then it's time to quit drinking and go back to work. I didn't know at the time that I could make a wonderful drink for much cheaper, and I love doing it. So once I found the product and said, yeah, I love this, then it came down to the financials of, okay, what is this going to cost me? What can it sell for? How does it financially come together? Is this a very financially viable business? Putting together that 10-point business plan and thinking through every part of it, and then starting to make it happen.
How long a process was it in developing your business plan?
I want to say 6 months. I had a friend telling me you should start your business plan on that. At the time, me and one of my best friends were trying to make gluten-free beers, thinking that would be a good business. It was Eric that said, hey, you should start a meadery. And I said, no, that's, if that was a great idea, it would have been done a million times. And it took a few months for that to sink in. But then it was like, hey, meat is gluten-free. This is really getting good, and I can do this.
So is gluten-free a thing for you?
No, it is for one of my good friends, John. All of a sudden, gluten was killing him, and he couldn't drink anymore.
Yeah, and that's there's so much of that going on these days, so I can totally see going that route. But yeah, I was kind of giggling to myself when you said, if it was a great idea, everybody'd be doing it. Well, kind of everybody is doing it. When I put out that call for people getting ready to open a meadery who were not yet open, I filled every spot in about 15 minutes.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, and had people piling on behind that going, wait, I want in, so.
Me too.
Yeah, there's meaderies are popping up like all over everywhere, and it's so cool.
But a sobering fact is something you mentioned a few weeks ago, that you had to take 25 off of your lists, from those popping up.
Yeah, they don't make it. And yeah. That's the case. Honestly, if you look at small business statistics, something like 80% of small businesses fold in the first 5 years. Pretty scary statistic. And looking at the meaderies, I'd have to say that at least 60% of them, and maybe more, and I'm just, I'm pulling an average out from just what I've seen anecdotally, make it for those 5 years. So they're beating the odds by a good bit. So it is a very viable business so long as you grow responsibly and market for what your market's looking for. That's the big thing. I've had that conversation with a lot of people. It's you got to know your local market, because those are your peeps. Until you can start to grow out of your local area, you got to know what it is that they're looking for. And you've got a lot of opportunities, because will you be able to go to farmers markets once you open to do tastings?
I believe in Virginia, you can go up to 4 special events, and you have to frame it as an educational event, which is not a problem, because I'm a beekeeper and mead is a new thing. So I can educate you both on bees and mead. And I typically bring out a observation hive where kids can come up and look at the bees through the plexiglass. So we can do 4 events like that a year.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So, you can be raising awareness. I know North Carolina, once you get an event license, it kind of covers you for festivals and farmers markets and so forth and so on. There was a meadery I did some stuff for. We were testing the market to see what people knew about mead. And he was a new meadery in North Carolina at the time. And so I went, I'd take half a dozen cases of his stuff down to the local farmers market and just stand there and do tastings all day long. And 100% of the people walked away with mead in their hands.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and these were people that, when you ask them what did they drink, they'd go, red, white. They really were very, just, I like what I like. And they weren't wine snobs. They weren't really into knowing all the whys and wherefores of, alcoholic beverages. They just liked what they liked.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. And there were people who were like dyed in the wool Merlot drinkers, like, no way, everything's going to be too sweet. And I had them buying half cases of this off-dry, fortified traditional that he made. And it was really big. It was like a sit on the deck with a brandy snifter kind of mead, It was big and full in the mouth and all this, and it was very, very ever so slightly sweet, which to a Merlot person is like, sugar. And they were loving it and just sucking it up. And then they had an off-dry blackberry that replaced the Merlot really well. So people were going for it, and they'd start out going, oh, ew, and then go, whoa, hey, this is kind of good.
In my ventures into North Carolina, I seem to remember a lot of people love that Dublin wine. Very sweet
Dublin's
stuff.
very, yeah. Dublin is it's using our native grapes, the muscadine and Scuppernong grapes, which are North Carolina grapes. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very popular, very sweet. Too sweet for me personally.
Oh yeah, most of their meads are even too sweet for me, and that's saying something. But I'll tell you what, though, next time you get down there, and you can only get this at Dublin Winery, they will not put it in stores, or you can get it shipped if you've been to the winery. They have an almond champenoise style Scuppernong wine that is to die for. It makes the world's best mimosas, hands down. So good. I like drive. It's a 2.5 hour drive for me, and I will drive down there just to get it.
We're talking to Zeb Johnston from Lions Head Meadery, Yorktown, Virginia. If you've got a question for Zeb, give us a holler. You know the number, 818-921-4680. Looking for that phone call. Chris, I know you're out there.
Chris from Miss.
So is David Webb. We missed David Webb on the last show. But, Zeb, if there's any... there's a lot of people out there like you who are probably looking into starting a meadery. And what advice would you give them, as far as where to start, with their meadery?
Personally, I think, understanding the finances, estimating all of your expenses, and then doubling it for all the things you didn't realize. For me, the scariest thing today is how long are these TTB permits going to take? I thought it was going to be 3 months, and here it is 6 months. My financial plan, my business plan was not to rent a space for 3 months or 6 months. I have a place that I'm not paying anything on it until I actually start production. But dang, that's a scary thing when you don't have a lot of money to work with.
It is.
So for me personally, it is not just making a great mead. A great mead is a great mead, but you've got to really have that business planning behind you to make sure you can get through that.
Yeah.
I'm still working through it. I'm still scared.
Well, and
I was just going to say, back it up with kind of a follow-up question. Did you have anybody you were working with, or is this something that you've done all by yourself?
I've done dozens of things on my own over the years since I was cutting grass at 12 years old. I'm entrepreneur spirit, that's for sure. But my education, I got an MBA from William and Mary a few years ago, and I hope to do them proud. They taught me very well, and one of my classes was specifically on managing and financing a small business. And that was an incredible class. And basically, I've gone back to my notes and did all the steps to put this business plan together. And like I said, when I got that MBA, the first thing I did was say, what am I going to do with all this free time? And I started Zeb's Bees LLC as a practice business to get myself introduced to some of the legislative parts, the licensing, the basic stuff like that. It was really a practice business just to get my feet wet. And going into a meadery where it's very highly legislated is, the other end of the spectrum. But that's what I did personally. I do have, fellow students, fellow professors that I can get some advice from. It's a great school. But mostly it's on my own.
Cool. So I'm assuming that you're taking advantage of the experience available in the AMMA group as far as things like labels and recipes and your TTB stuff. Have you dipped into that?
Absolutely, yes.
There's a wealth of info in there, boy.
Yeah, I'm a lurker. I don't want to ask too many of the newbie questions. I respect these guys' time. There are 1,600 people on there now, so... Mm-hmm. I don't want to be that guy that's not looking up stuff and just asking everybody, for their info. But I read a lot on there. Yeah.
Well, don't be afraid to get out there with, good questions. Cause I know a lot of the people in the industry from, Mike Fall to, some of the newest people getting in. And one of the things that I have noticed is that, well, not all of them, are out there actively helping. They're wound up in their businesses or whatever. But a lot of them are really, really keen on seeing new mead makers succeed. Because if you guys succeed, we all do. It's good for the industry. So for everyone they can help get through that 5-year thing, don't be afraid to say, hey, it's been out there for 181 days. Should I be worried? Is there anything I need to be doing?
Yeah, definitely. And I've gotten some great advice from the experienced, mead makers that have been in business for a few years and are doing very well. Did an interview with a local newspaper, and I mentioned, hey, I'm following this business plan. I'm starting off in a garage, and I think the interviewer contacted Michael Fairbrother, and his name was in the newspaper as well. So I'm learning a lot from him and other mead makers. And when people read the front page of that newspaper, they read about Moonlight Meadery, and next thing you know, they're buying his in the store. So it is a very beneficial for everybody involved. The little guys and the big guys.
Yeah, I mean that's why I started Got Mead, was to help all this along. So I'm big on the get out there and make use of the knowledge that's available. I'm guessing that being an MBA, and it sounds like you're pretty organized, that you're probably already prepping your work for your recipes and labels.
Yes, I am, but there's a lot of things I'm good at and a lot of things I'm not good at. And designing labels is not going to be one of them. So.
That's where your buddy, the graphic designer, comes in.
Exactly.
Well, you guys got a great logo, so you've already got a really good start. I love the lion with glasses. It is so cool. I mean, it's very simple, and yet it's very striking. And that's a big deal. I mean, I've seen Meadery labels, Meadery logos, everything from just words all the way up to super colorful, extremely elaborate, and very pretty logos, and everything in between. But yours has got a really nice balance between presence and simplicity. I like that.
Yes, and I hired a professional to design that for me. Smart man.
Again, that's what I
there's a lot of things I'm not good at, and I needed a lot of help with that. And Odd Moxie is also going to be helping with the labels in keeping a theme. Gretchen created the whole identity guide, and it's been great working with her. And again, half of being good is knowing what you're bad at. And believe me, there's a lot of things I'm not good at.
Knowing your limitations is a mark of a good business person, and when it's time to go outside and get somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, even in my engineering degree, one of the things they taught us is to know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. And never be afraid.
Probably one of the more valuable pieces of information I got from that course. So.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's tough to know what you don't know.
Yeah,
because you don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. But that's where not being afraid to ask what sometimes feels like stupid questions, but really aren't. I operate on, and always have, on the assumption, and I teach this to my students. I tell my clients this, and I tell people on Got Mead this: the only stupid questions are the ones you don't ask. It's because if you just sit there and go, well, that sounds idiotic, I'm not going to say anything, and just kind of huddle down, then you're never going to find out. The worst thing that can happen is everybody ignores you, in which case you're no worse off, right?
We'll just add a corollary onto that to Google it first and then ask the question.
Well, yeah, Google, yeah, it kind of goes without saying to utilize the Google verse, but I have a black belt in Google Foo, so I usually spend quite a while on Google before I get to the first question to ask somebody. But I mean, it sounds like you're really kind of crossing your I's and dotting your T's, and yes, I did that deliberately, to make sure that it gets there. So, I mean, once you get your TTB sign off for the meadery itself, how far after that, assuming that labels and recipes go through in a reasonable period of time, are you guys timelining to try to get mead on the street?
I think right, the recipes will take about 2 months. The labels take about a month. The fermenters are almost here.
Cool.
Then it's just 2 or 3 months of fermentation before it's bottled, and you got to hit the markets and make sure you sell it. So we're probably about 6 months out, which is scary because we were hoping to be in the stores now.
Yeah.
But the TVP had other ideas.
Yeah.
We've got a long time listener, every time caller waiting in the queue here. Chris from Mississippi's on the line. Chris, welcome to the show again. Have you got a question for Zeb?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. Hey, I'm nothing if not faithful.
He is very loyal. Yes, we like that.
He's our loyalist fan.
Yeah, we're going to add him to the show. If he wasn't always out cracking people's chests, we'd have him on regular, as a host.
I was going to ask, what kind of volume are you looking to start out with in production when you first get started?
I think that our target for the first year would be 3,000 gallons. I think that is a very high estimate, but it's a goal.
Yeah, goals should make you stretch, but not be completely out of reach.
What size batches are you going to be doing?
We have 2 1,000-liter fermenters.
Oh, wow.
So 265 gallons. They're glycol cooled. They've been on order. They should be on a boat from Italy now, but that's taken longer than expected to.
On a boat from
That's
Italy.
A lot of mead.
That is. And did you? And could you hear?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I know where Vicky's going with this one.
Yeah, I heard that. It was not on the show, dude. Come on.
The wheels are turning, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get a 1,000 gallon.
JD's over there having mead. He's having mead-gasms over there. It's just hilarious.
Did you hear the gasp come across the radio from that?
Yeah. JD's mentally in his head. He's going, "How tall is my garage?"
Yeah. Wow.
And how quickly will my wife kill me if I buy one of these?
These fermenters from Italy, are these something special order or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They were ordered. You can change the manway opening and how big do you want the glycol jackets and all of that. So they were not cheap. We didn't expect to start off with such big things, but as things started progressing and people that know me know what I can do, money became available. So I'm not looking for any investors, not looking for any loans or anything, but when it's kind of given to you, you work with it. So we're starting off a little bit stronger than we expected. And from watching AMMA and the Got Mead forums, you learn from those that are in it that, hey, get the biggest fermenters you can. It takes just as much time to process a 100 gallons as it is for a 500 gallons. So I took that advice and went with it.
Yeah.
And I would assume it's probably cheaper to go all out right at the beginning than it is to try and retrofit later.
Yeah, you can't size up a fermenter. But also when you look at the cost per gallon of the capacity, it's, it gets a lot cheaper for larger capacity when you look at it that way. It's a lot more expensive, but it's cheaper per gallon.
Yeah, your surface area volume ratio again.
Exactly.
So how many of these fermenters do you have coming?
2 to start with.
2 to start with. So that's 2,000 gallons, right?
So if you can run both of those once, then that's 2/3 of your goal.
Yeah, but you're going to be doing first and second.
2,000 liters. That'll be almost.
Yeah, 2,000 liters is about 260 gallons.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. 1,000 liters.
500 gallons.
Yeah, 1,000 liters is about 265, and I got 2 of those.
So I'm assuming that you're going to do pitch the batch in one, then rack it into the other, and then the first one then becomes open for batch number 2?
Yeah, for probably the first batch, but I do want a basic fermenter, no glycol, just to use. I would love to find a mixing tank, but they're all kind of sold out for that size at the moment.
Crazy.
So, yeah, the first batch is you got to turn that money over. It's very expensive. That's a lot of honey. So
It is, yeah.
you got to turn that over before you can grow into the second one.
Yeah, definitely. Going to start with 5-gallon pails, or going to go straight to barrels?
Still thinking about that. A 55-gallon barrel of honey is very heavy.
Yeah.
And, Lord, I don't want to drop that.
Yeah, then there's the whole, how do we get it into the fermenter thing, too? It's awkward if you don't have the right equipment, and which is also expensive. So
yeah, when you have to think about, okay, what is the weight of the fluid in this, and is this going to crack the concrete under the floor, and what is a car weigh, and one tire is 1/4 of the car, and okay, that's what this, and actually measuring the concrete, and you start thinking about it too much. It's like, okay, yeah, we're not going to break the concrete, and it's short enough to fit in the door.
yeah. Well, and the funny thing is you'd be surprised how many people don't get to that point. They're looking at the economies of scale as the cost per pound, which goes down as you go into bigger containers. But as you say, you've got that the whole engineering part of it. What's it going to do to the thing that it's sitting on? Because it's a lot of weight.
And I won't name anyone, but I've heard of that happening. People ordering fermenters that were too tall for the space, and that's not a cheap mistake.
No, it's not. And you just don't. It's just yet another thing to be thinking about. It's easy. It's easy to overlook something like that, especially in the excitement of getting everything set up. So
yeah, but when you're into it and you're working nonstop and thinking about everything nonstop, you hope to cover every little thing. I hope I haven't missed any little detail like that.
Oh, you have. You just have to hope that it's one that's not going to do more than provide minor setbacks. Everybody misses something. For you, it might be something nice and easy.
You seem like you're pretty thorough.
Yeah. You got the training to be thorough, and there's always lists.
In one of my past jobs, I was a project manager, and I swear you can plan everything 150%, but that last 20% of the job, you're winging it. And you just have to have the confidence and intelligence to know you can get through it, and you will wing it no matter what. That last 20%, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot about also being having the plan, but being flexible. I mean, like they say, no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. It all looked really good on paper, and then crap.
Yeah.
And now what?
Yeah. So the ability
always
to
have a plan B, I guess.
Drop back 10 and punt.
We have a term here in the South called common sense, and at some point, the plans and the blueprints and the paperwork and the engineering has to go out the window, and common sense has to take over.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Chris, we've been breeding that out of the species for years now, so
They also have a saying that common sense is not so common. So.
We just got a inbound comment from Sergio at Melavino, and Sergio says if you're measuring concrete, you're probably going to be fine.
We've planned that.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sergio. I've learned a lot from him and his experience, and I love that he was so open on the AMMA, and that is a big thing to learn from other people's experiences.
Yeah, we've got some really amazing people in the mead community. I mean, Sergio is new himself, and yet, for like a lot of people that are quote unquote as young as his business is, might be too caught up in their day-to-day just keeping up to really be reaching out, but he's doing a lot of that. He's doing a lot of reaching out and giving a leg up to the new folks, and also providing interesting advice to some of the folks that have been doing this for a while. So, because he's got a lot of interesting and innovative ideas, which he and I could talk for hours about that stuff. But
and I don't want to get too nerdy or change the subject, but most commercial concrete's 3,000 pound mix, and it'll hold 3,000 pounds per square inch. So you should be good.
Okay, all you budding mead makers out there who are already measuring your garage to see if the fermenters will fit. JD, and we won't mention names.
Residential concrete's usually 2,500 pound mix, so it'll hold 2,500.
Wait a minute, I thought he was a doctor.
Today's Chris factoids. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, I just, one of those things I happen to remember from somewhere, and I don't know why.
Yeah, my friend of mine used to say that people who have all those facts from somewhere were regular cesspools of useful information.
Yeah,
we've only got about 2 minutes left here. Zeb, what's the long-term vision here? Let's talk 5 years.
5 years, I hope to be doing this and starting, the next venture. In today's
Do you have any
world,
idea what that is?
No, not at the moment. But in today's world, everything moves so quick that you've got to be able to adapt just as quick.
And that goes right back to that whole no battle plan surviving first contact with the enemy kind of thing. You've got to be able to be flexible and know that things can change. And, you may discover new things that change the way you plan to approach,
But for this meadery, we will have a bigger space, a tasting room, be in all 50 states, in a few countries. But that's specific to this meadery. There's other things that are going to come along that I'll do as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to having your mead in Canada.
Yes.
I'm kind of sitting here wondering if he has a sidekick at home called Pinky, because it sounds like he's after world domination.
Yep, okay. One of my best friends. We're always plotting.
Yes, but how are you going to get the elephant into the pantyhose? I've always wondered about that one.
Must be that time.
Yeah, no, you got to watch Pinky and the Brain to get it. You obviously never watched it, so hey.
Well, Zeb, we certainly wish you the best of luck. And Vicki, we need to rebook Zeb for maybe 4 or 5 months from now and get him back on the show, see where he's at, how he's doing.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Well, because Zeb, being methodical, is going to send me a press release, aren't you, Zeb, when he opens his doors so I can put it on Got Mead. We'll know when to get a hold of him and bring him back on the show.
Absolutely. We do have a marketing plan for when the TTB permits come through and we start moving forward again.
Perfect.
Now,
and Zeb, I'm not that smart. I'm not really that smart. I just Googled commercial concrete specifications. So.
Hey, I Google stuff all the time, and usually the smartest people are the ones that say they're not that smart.
Yeah, the Google foo is strong with this one.
Yeah.
All right, well, Zeb, thanks for joining us tonight, and I really look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you. I'll be happy to come back. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, the honor's all ours. Thanks for coming on and giving us a little peek under the hood. And you know where to find me, as things develop and you want to get the word out. Okay?
Definitely. And I'll see you at the Mazer Cup, too.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, Zeb.
Night, Zeb.
Zeb Johnston from Yorktown, Virginia, Lions Head Meadery. Be looking for that if you're out there in the area. We're going to step away, take a commercial break. When we come back, a little bit of a pumpkin update. Then we've got a extra special, extra long Ask Oscar. Stick around. We're not done yet.
Hey, this is J.D. Webb for Got Mead Live. Winemaking was a way of life for Sergio Mutella while growing up. As an adult, his winemaking led to brewing beer and ultimately his discovery and passion for mead. Today at Melavino, his mead-making skills has earned him countless awards. His signature meads include Pepino, a light and refreshing cucumber, orange, and lemon session mead, and Sinfonia, called the Scotch of Meads, is made with 3 honey varietals and a blend of 3 different oaks. Visit them in Vauxhall, New Jersey at 2933 Vauxhall Road, located in the rear of the Millburn Mall. And be sure and visit them online at melovino.com. Shipping to 22 states, try some Melovino mead yourself and book a tour and tasting. Melovino, a truly unique and exquisite craft mead experience. Besides being the county seat of Cass County, it's also the home of Prairie Rose Meadery, the only meadery in North Dakota. Owned and operated by Susan and Bob Rood, they produce 5 amazing meads with a 6th on the way, all available in their tasting room. From bees to bottles, the Prairie Rose Tasting Room is located at 3101 39th Street South, Suite E in Fargo, North Dakota, and features their award-winning traditional and blackberry meads. Other amazing flavors available include ginger, mint, cherry, and an upcoming star anise mead. Tasting room hours are Thursday through Friday, 5 to 10 p.m., Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 6 p.m. Make Prairie Rose Meadery a must-do when you're in Fargo, North Dakota. Visit them online at prairierosemeadery.com or stop by at 3101 39th Street South, Suite E in Fargo, North Dakota. Prairie Rose Meadery, a delightful mead experience.
Schramm's Mead crafts some of the most coveted meads available in the United States today. The Tasting Room at 327 West 9 Mile Road in Ferndale, Michigan features Schramm's Mead in bottles and special release meads on tap. SchrammsMead.com. If you think you don't like mead, you haven't had a Schramm's. Uncompromisingly delicious mead since 2013. HomebrewTalk.com, your absolute everything resource for brewing beer at home. Their forum covers recipes, brewing equipment, and help from member brewers. If you picked up your equipment today, you can start brewing tonight with everything you need to know at HomebrewTalk.com. Sign up today for as little as $4 a month and become a...
It's, it's always another show when Chris calls and we go into commercial. If I could play the stuff that we talk about during the commercial breaks, especially when
that's the only reason I call is to chat with you on commercials.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He keeps threatening to tape this surreptitiously and put it on when we're not looking. But he also knows that planes go to Southern California, and I can find him. And Pete's also my enforcer out there, so don't make me send Oscar after you. You don't want a mad Croatian on your case. You really don't.
Really don't.
And if you haven't guessed, we are back live here at Got Mead Live. Real quickly, we're just going to breeze through this pumpkin thing. I got to tell you,
It's the great pumpkin, J.D. Webb.
It's the great pumpkin, J.D. Webb, and I'm getting kind of disgusted with it. And
you didn't listen. Pete told you and you didn't listen.
Well, I did. He consulted on it, but I think where I ran into trouble was at the point when the pH went clear out of whack, and that it is the most tart thing. It's pucker tart, and but we're gonna rack it this week. We're down to 1.020 on the gravity, starting at 1.136. So this thing's gonna be pretty high in alcohol. It's already about 15%, I believe now. So, it's a 16% tolerance, the D21 that we used, and wasn't anticipating it going down that far, but it just ate up all of the sugar and anything that was left in it. So,
well, it's not like the yeast can read the package label to tell you what they're supposed to stop at.
Right. So we're gonna rack it this week and just put the airlock on it and put it in the closet. Just let it sit and see what happens. Maybe rack it a couple of more times, and if we get any kind of decent flavors coming back out of it, we might be able to do something with it. So after I get done with that, I've got a cider, and I may be working on a sizer. You really got to listen to the Ask Oscar piece here coming up. But it's either a cider or a sizer that I'm going to do next. So I got to get that pumpkin thing out of there. I'm kind of sick of pumpkin right now. So, but the pH holding steady at 3.4. We've got to cool down to about 57 degrees. So the fermentation is next to nothing now. So it's just about petered out. So that's it for the JD's Pumpkin Project update. And I'll put some more notes. I haven't, it's kind of the same thing every day. Check the gravity, give it a stir. That kind of thing. So I really didn't think it was that necessary to put that kind of information in my notes every single day. But I'll update it tonight later on and put the current gravity, because I think the last time it was something like 1.020 or 022. But other than that, nothing else has changed. So, it's still tarred as ever. And I'm going to stop stirring, so it'll probably be something like Friday. I'm going to let some of the stuff drop to the bottom, and then we're going to rack it on top of the 1.5 gallons. Actually, it's almost 2 gallons of extra apple juice and leftover mead that I had to remove for the displacement when we put the pumpkin in. We're going to rack it on top of that. So I'm hoping that might kind of thin down the tartness a little bit, at least. But we'll see what happens. So,
well, at this point, the worst thing, you don't really need to throw it out. There's the opportunity to see, can it be remedied?
Sure. Yeah.
Figure out whether you want to adjust the pH back down back up, or whether you want to try back sweetening it.
Yeah.
Or, even something like oaking may mellow it out, or vanilla or something.
Yeah, and even ones that taste like, jet fuel right at the beginning after some setting. Don't dump it right away. You can always toss it in a cardboard, stick it in the closet, or if you have a basement in your basement. In California, you guys don't do basements, do you? Yeah, poor things. But yeah, I take mine if I had that one with 26 herbs and spices in it that I foolishly made as my first mead, and it was horrible for like almost 2 years. And then apparently the mead fairy came when I wasn't looking, because the next time I went down there, it was like amazing. I to this day, it was like drinking. It was like drinking, mythical nectar or something. It just was stunning how much it changed in sometime between year 2 and year 3. And I just I just put it down there and forgot about it because I felt so bad about wasting all of that material. I was going to throw it out, and I'm a pack rat, so I was like, well, I'll just put all the other stuff. All the other stuff I won't throw out, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and rack it off towards the end of the week, and just put it away, and take care of it. But get it balanced up, and and then cap that puppy and stash it in a corner and go do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one that I've been waiting 10 years for it to become drinkable, and it's finally starting to.
Yeah.
Yeah. This Oscar session coming up.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Take another drink of my cider here. But there
you go. When in doubt, drink more.
Drink more. Okay.
Absolutely. It makes so much sense when you've already started.
Well, and yeah, it does. It makes amazing sense. The more you have, the more sense it makes. It's
just too many S's. This Ask Oscar session is kind of a lengthy one. I sat with Vicky and Oscar for actually, it was exactly an hour. And it's a two-part Oscar series or session. We started out talking about nutrients, and I really
no. You started out talking about nutrients, and if I remember, Pete said, and I quote, no, oh, and no. Did I say no? No, I don't want no. And then you just.
Well, but I don't. Yeah, let me clarify. It wasn't a. I think he might have anticipated getting into the chemical and which one and that kind of thing. The quandary that I faced, and I'm sure a lot of other mead makers face, especially the new mead makers, is which one, okay? Because when you get to the brew store, and like I say on the piece, there are 3 in my area, and all 3 have different kinds of nutrients, okay? Except for the one that is most commonly used, which is the Fermaid brand. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, see, I just ask them where's the Go Furman for Made K, and they go we don't have that. I go, oh, okay, gotta go.
yeah, well, that's to a new mead maker, half the time you're left standing there. The guy's telling you, but use this one. I've had good luck with this, and he hands you a little plastic baggie with God knows what's in it. So, but Oscar deals with that here in just a minute, and then he moves into sizers.
Because fall.
Yeah, because it's fall. Apples and apples and honey go together very well.
Except, and I know Hamish is listening, except for the people in Australia, it's not fall for them. So apologies to the people on the other side of the equator, it's fall up here. So, deal.
Yeah, that's funny.
I know Hamish is like banging on his keyboard right now. Hi, Hamish, I love you.
Oh, heavens.
So we're going to jump into Ask Oscar, and I got to apologize to Oscar. I don't have the little intro piece. It's here. It's just not readily available. I just should say it's lost.
Hey, before we go into the world's longest Ask Oscar, Hamish can actually Skype in. Apparently, he's got a break at work, and he has a question for AJ.
Go ahead, Hamish. I've got him on my. I can see. I think he's.
Can you bring him in?
I can. I can bring him in. Yes.
Okay, then do it. His Skype is winking at me.
Hey, Hamish.
He's not here. Not here yet. But
okay.
We're going to have a question there.
Hello?
Here. Hamish?
There he is.
Here I am. Look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, Hamish.
Just got a technical difficulty at this end.
Oh,
are you there?
He said
Hamish?
technical difficulties.
There we go.
There we are. That's much better.
Hello, guys.
Good afternoon from tomorrow. How are you?
Yeah. G'day, Hamish.
That was me. I was just messing with you.
That's all right. I didn't hear that, so you got away with it. I've got a question for AJ today. As you mentioned last week, I got a show coming up next weekend, and I've tried to, because I was very disorganised, throw some 4 batches of mead together in the last 3 weeks to get ready for the show. And one of them was a blueberry. And due to the way that I've put it together, I got a lot of crap on the bottom and a lot of crap on the top. Now, I know I'm going to be able to get my 1 bottle of mead that I need for the show out of the middle. But I wanted to ask AJ what she would do about maybe pressing those skins and trying to maximise the amount that I could get out of the mead.
It depends on the style. Normally, I bag my fruit, so I usually just pick up the bag, and however long I can stand to hold it over the thing, I let it drip. And if I'm feeling really impatient, I'll sanitize my hands and squish it.
Okay.
You could pour it.
I didn't bag it, so we have that issue. So I was thinking maybe some way where I take out the good stuff and then let it settle again, and then try and siphon off the top of the yeast after I'd squeezed it.
Yeah, you can either do that or scoop off the stuff that's floating and try to squeeze the stuff out of that, and then let whatever's going to settle out from everything else settle out. Or you could also try running it through a sieve or something to catch all the big bits, and then the smaller bits should settle out.
Now the other question I had was with sieving, or maybe running it through a cheesecloth. How much oxygenation do I need to fear at this point?
Honestly, I've done it a couple of times, and I haven't really worried about oxygenation. The only time I've ever actually had anything oxidized was a wine that I put in a 5-gallon carboy when I only had 3 gallons of it, and I left it for a couple of weeks after filtering it. Other than that, the only time I've ever had oxidation issues have been when I've let airlocks go dry and stupid things like that. I would try to keep the splashing to a minimum and, don't go nuts with it, but just a short oxidation or just a short period of exposure shouldn't do too terribly much to it. Meads are pretty resilient.
So if I went over the top and purged the bottle with the CO2 that I've got and put a funnel into it and squeezed it in that, it'd be fine. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that would be fine.
Okay.
If I could have a moment for Chris's confessionals.
Sure.
When I was in a hurry once, I actually bottled a batch of mead by pouring it into bottles in a funnel. And it had absolutely no problems whatsoever. Maybe I got lucky, I don't know. But it caused no problems at all. So I've only done it once.
I've done stuff like that once or twice myself too with no problems. But the other thing you can do is sulfite it. As soon as you're done whatever it is you're doing, hit it with the sulfites, because I always find that makes it bubble a little bit, which will drive any additional oxygen out of the headspace. And also serves to protect it a little bit from oxidation.
Oh, that's a nice idea, because I wanted to do that anyway, because I wanted to make sure it was definitely not still going. Yeah.
So hit it with the sulfites, and then you can hit it with the sorbate.
Okay. Yeah,
that'd be my recommendation.
The minute at 0 degrees, so.
Yeah, so it's probably not going anywhere, and that really should make things settle out and compact if they're going to. It's just when you've got stuff that's sort of in the middle of fermentation, the floaty stuff is going to be full of carbon dioxide. But I also find, mostly through my experiences with Joe's Ancient Orange and things that are not oranges in them, a little bit of agitation can sometimes knock the bubbles out of the floaty stuff and make it sink.
So. Yeah, at last look, there was still a whole mass of skins and stuff sitting on the top. So
yeah, what I'd probably do is just punch the racking cane in between, and in the clear layer in between the floaty stuff and the sinky stuff. Yeah, and just rack whatever you can out of it. And
yeah, it was just about 50%. I'm looking for the second half of the operation. That was. I was hoping to get maybe a bit more than 2 bottles out of a gallon.
Yeah, well, this is what cheesecloth is for.
All right, I'll go the cheesecloth route then.
Good luck with it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Hey, good luck, Hamish. Thanks for calling in.
Playing hooky from work and calling in, because yesterday was his day off, if I remember right.
That but we've got. I'm actually on the road today, on the side of the road, talking to you over 4G on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Australia has better internet than I do. Oh, my God.
Well, Hamish, you're welcome to stick around on the side of the road there as we get the Ask Oscar session going. If not, thanks for calling in anyway.
No, thanks.
All right. We're going to get to this Ask Oscar. Like I said, it is an hour long, so I know some of you are probably going to go ahead and go on to bed. Hey, the replay, it'll be up later on tonight and available on gotmead.com sometime in the morning. So, and again, I apologize to Oscar for not having his little musical intro piece, but hey, that's the way it goes. So,
yeah, sorry, Pete, we lost your scary music, so you'll just have to...
We'll come back very briefly when Oscar is over. So with that, here we go. Sit tight.
Welcome to another episode of Ask Oscar. And we actually had started talking about, Pete and I were debating because we didn't get any new questions this week. You guys are falling down on the job, so start getting your questions in. But Pete and I were talking about maybe doing a talk around sizers today because of the fact that it's fall and apple season and so forth. And then JD gets on the line. and has questions about yeast nutrients. And we sort of resisted Pete more than me, and then we kind of got to talking about it. So it sounds, Pete, like we're going to be talking about nutrients today. At least for a little while.
Well, I think what we're going to be talking about is choosing what to use and, based on what's going to be best for your batch rather than the composition of nutrients, because I'm just plain ass not interested.
Sounds like
it's real simple. There's a lot of things in there that people don't know about, and JD, you were just talking about somebody that's, relatively new to making mead and gaining experience by going out and, getting information at homebrew stores and on the different websites, and how eventually after talking to people in homebrew stores and going to different websites and reading, you got led over to gotmead.com. And so maybe you'd relate that in an abbreviated form as to how the question about, what's this nutrient all about and what's that nutrient all about? And hey, homebrew shop A, homebrew shop B, and homebrew shop C all have different nutrients. What's that all about? And why isn't there, why don't they tell you what's in them and all that? So JD, kind of like lead me into this question.
It's kind of it's more along the lines from the consumer point of view. I mean, you get involved in something new, and you go out and get the equipment, all the ingredients, and then of course you're faced with questions. Okay, what the recipe calls for a nutrient. What nutrient do I use? And like you said, Pete, you go to your home brew store. I've got 3 of them in my neighborhood, and all 3 of them recommend something different. And then, of course, through further investigation, I wind up at Got Mead, and suddenly there's this whole thing on the Fermaid brand of yeast nutrients and products, and which has kind of left me in a quandary, because now I'm wondering, is there one better than the other? Should I be using one over another? And so that's where I was at.
Yeah. Well, and just to throw it out there, to me, it's like I was telling JD and Ricky a few minutes ago. The whole thing is that, Superfood, Fermax, Fermaid K, Fermaid O, Actifirm, Naptifirm, all the rest of these kind of things that are out there. Everybody's got their own little hobby horse that they want to sit out there and market and advertise and sell and make a couple $1 million at using or more. And the bottom line is you gotta use what's best for you. In my case, it's Lalamon products. I was telling them that I've used other yeast strains, other yeast companies, other yeast nutrients and such. I come back to Lalamon because they just work, and they work right, and they work consistently. And so that's why I use their stuff. And let's take a look at homebrew stores. Let's start with them, because that's where everybody goes mostly to get their equipment and their ingredients and their yeast and everything like that. Most of the homebrew stores I've been into, there are people there that are either in homebrew clubs or affiliated with homebrew clubs or support the local homebrew club. And that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Where things start to break down is the actual knowledge of the guy behind the counter that you're asking to give you nutrients for your mead. Now, in most cases, in the homebrew stores that I've been into and gone to online and such, as JD said, they've got their own brand, soda, quote unquote, and you'll hear anything from yeast nutrient to energizer to fertilizer to, any EIEIO name that they come up with, they're going to pop on there so they can sell it. The problem is they give you this little stapled or sealed plastic baggie with a couple ounces of this, stuff that looks kind of like salt and maybe with some baking powder mixed into it. And, okay, here's your nutrient, and then here's your energizer. And it's like, so what is this nutrient? What is this energizer? Well, in many cases, it's almost the same thing, maybe with some variations here and there. Most of the time, the nutrient is primarily composed of DAP. When you call it nutrient instead of DAP, you can charge more for it. When you put something else into it, like maybe a little bit of vitamin B or a little bit of potassium or a little bit of zinc, then you can call it energizer and sell it for even more. What it boils down to is it's, somewhat analogous to Fermaid K. And so rather than buying a package of nutrient and a package of energizer, if you buy a package of Fermaid K, you're buying the same thing or something very similar. Fermaid K has DAP in it as a primary source of nitrogen, along with other nutrients in it that help kind of, round it out as a nutrient, as opposed to pure DAP or diammonium phosphate, which is an ammonia-based nitrogen. that the yeast really, really like to chomp on. So at its base level, the stuff that's offered in the stores is pretty much just DAP. And I'm pretty sure they're buying it from, GW Kent or some of these other, big box retailers, and then they're repackaging it for themselves. So I'm guessing that their nutrient from store to store to store that you see that's a generic nutrient that you buy in the little sealed, plastic baggie is probably going to be pretty much the same thing.
I always thought it looked like, crystal meth.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if it looks like
Well, yeah, I always imagine that's what it was, what it must look like. But yeah, I mean, it always felt like buying drugs.
Hey, step over to the counter here. Look what I got for you.
Got some really hot shit for you here today.
Shaking the bag around. Yeah. Hasn't been stepped on at all, man. It's the best nutrient you can get.
I think, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time because we can get, plumb buried in this. And I have just learned quite a bit just in the last few minutes, that we've been talking here. But I think what it boils down to for me and what I would encourage anybody who's new out there is to find somebody like Pete. If you don't know Pete, it's just a simple thing to send an email to somebody who's been doing this for a very long time. You go to a place like gotmead.com and ask questions.
Ask the mead moderators. They'll tell you. I've got, what do we got, 8-10 mead moderators, Pete?
Yeah, 8-10 mead mentors out there.
Yeah, and if you're serious about doing this and not just haphazardly throwing a recipe together that you found on the internet, which I can tell you from experience, don't do that. Go to gotmead.com. They've got a healthy listing of solid recipes that have won awards, that work, that taste good in the end. And consult people who have been doing that for some time. If you're new, just don't jump into this like I did, because you're going to make a ton of mistakes. And I've probably already thrown away several $100s or more than that of ingredients of honey. And honey is the most expensive part.
Yeah. I did that when before there was a Got Mead, when Got Mead was the page of links that I had found by scratching around on what then passed for the internet. I was doing the same thing, and we didn't have brew shops, for one thing, at least not where I lived. There wasn't a brew shop, and certainly had never heard anything about nutrients. My idea of nutrients in the extreme was basically a handful of raisins in the pail, because there wasn't anything else available. I'm sure that stuff was out in metro areas that weren't as benighted as where I was at the time, but I fumbled along and figured it out as I went, and honestly didn't start regularly using commercial nutrients like DAP and Fermade K until I met Pete.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these brew shops, they cater to the home beer making people more than the wine or mead making. It seems, the brew shops that I go to, wine making is kind of an afterthought. Mead is an afterthought. And so most of the ingredients that you see on the shelf in a lot of these places cater to the beer making, which is, a kind of a different ball game for the most part. So.
Yeah, and see, that's the way it is for most homebrew shops. It's going to be beer, then wine, then mead, and maybe even sake. At the bottom.
Sorry guys,
on
I
the more
dropped out.
comprehensive brew shop.
Yeah,
that's all right. Anyhow, when it gets down to it, you're going to have the thing that you really have to watch out for is just making sure that if you're going to be getting a nutrient, go out and do some research. Go out to gotmead.com and look at the recipes. Do most of the recipes use the nutrient that you're using and the yeast that you're using, or do most of them use something different? If you're using, let's say if you're using Epernay 2, the Cote de Blanc yeast, do most of the recipes out there on gotmead.com use that yeast? I don't think so. Are they using Fermax or Superfood? No, mostly they're not. They're using Fermade K and some kind of Lallemand yeast. Does that mean that you have to use them? No. Does that mean that most of those recipes out there that were developed using those yeast work really well and give you a solid product every time? Yes. Does that mean that you should use them to start out with? My advice is yes. It's easy to get. Most places carry it. It's consistent. You know what's in it, and you know how to apply it to the recipe that you're going to be adapting for your own use. And the bottom line is, might as well get off the ground with something that is out there, that's measurable, that's quantifiable, and that's going to yield consistent results. Use the recipes, use the yeast, use the nutrients that they're recommending in them. Once you get used to the recipe, then you can start getting, doing different things with it, enjoying, trying to use different nutrients and different energizers and different fertilizers and different additives and adjustments and additions. That's all part of the process of getting better and refining and developing your own style and your own product and your own taste and look and feel. That's all part of it. But if you're just starting and you go into a homebrew store, you really have to be on your game about finding out what it is they're offering you. Ask the person, well, what's this nutrient have in it? What's the primary ingredient? What's the secondary ingredient? Why is this nutrient better than Fermate K? Why is it better than Fermate O? How is it the same? How is it different? So you really have to know about those things. And once you've got a good view of, the nutrients that you're going to be using and the yeast you're going to be using and how to apply them to the recipe you're going to be making, then I think you've got a good go forward position. Once you've made the recipe a few times, you want to experiment, you want to get a little creative, you want to improvise. Live it up. But initially, JD made a great point. Honey's the most expensive ingredient. Right now, a good quality honey is going for $80, $90 a gallon.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're getting. And so, I don't know about you, but if I'm spending $100 on something, I'm damn sure not going to throw a question mark into it with a little sealed baggie of something that I don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
It could be rat poison for all I know.
Well, and that's the thing, too. If you're going to your brew shop and they've got the little stapled up baggies of, quote unquote yeast nutrient or energizer or whatever they decide to call it, when you ask them, they can't tell you exactly what's in it, don't buy it. I mean, that's right up there with, if there's something in the food you're eating that you can't pronounce, it's probably a good idea to just eat something different. It's not, you don't know what it's going to do. I mean, I've seen people paying upwards of $4 a pound for honey, depending on their location and what they can get. And that's just crazy to even risk that kind of investment. I don't know what's in this.
Well, yeah, I'd be happy to pay $4 a pound for honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a short plug here. We've actually got a new advertiser on Got Mead who has honey for less than that. However, it's a problem for you, Pete, because he's East Coaster. He's in Pennsylvania, but he's offering honey for very reasonable prices, and he's selling bulk, particularly targeting meaderies. I mean, he specifically wants to work with mead makers. That's why he's advertising with us. So I thought that was really awesome. It's Sans Honey Farm, and if anybody wants to go look, the ad's in the right column on the front page of the site. Go take a look and go check them out, especially if you're in and around Pennsylvania. Okay, plug over. I just wanted to give him, the guy's been really awesome, and I love that he's targeting meaderies, and he's offering reasonable prices for bulk honey for mead makers, so I think that's pretty cool.
Last word here, and I definitely want to listen to Pete talk about sizers. But when it comes to making this mead, I mean, the ultimate result you're looking for is something that's worthy of the effort that you put into it. And so I don't mind. I mean, if it's damn good honey, I don't mind paying the shipping costs for something that's going to taste absolutely wonderful and produce a very viable product for me. So that's another consideration too. I mean, I know honey's expensive and it's expensive to ship, but
I've bought honey from the West Coast and paid as much to ship it as I paid for the honey.
Oh yeah.
And had no problem with that because the honey I was getting was very high quality. This was a bucket of meadow foam I got years ago and have been nursing along. But you're right. It's definitely worth it if that's, if you want a really high quality mead and you don't mind hang a little bit extra to get the best honey for it. You get out of it what you put into it, and that's true for the honey, the yeast, and anything else that goes into it.
Well,
it's just like a sewer line. You get out of it what you put into it.
That's right. Yeah. I was thinking more along the lines of Gigo, garbage in, garbage out, but okay, you want to go straight to the sewers, Pete, and knock yourself out.
Oh my God! This is usually what happens at the end of the show. So
yeah, he's been Pete. You should have heard the afters thing Tuesday. JD kept threatening to tape us. We were out of control. It was hilarious.
Anyway, so Pete, I appreciate the information on the nutrients. I mean, our discussion before and of course after during the show here really set me straight. I know what I need to do now. So, and those of you that are listening to the show, heed my words. Okay, if you're really serious about this, you really need to seek out someone who has done this successfully over and over and over, and get their input on this, like we do here.
Or just
on Ask.
Yeah, or just come to Got Mead and find the people who've been doing this for a long time and ask them, Pete or anybody else. There's a bunch of people.
This is the exact forum right here to ask these kinds of questions. This is the Ask Oscar segment, and this, it's a question that I had, and I'm sure a lot of other newbies out there in the meat. I mean, maybe even people who have been doing this for a while have the same question too, because they're faced with the same thing when they go to their brew shop. I mean, here's a whole shelf full of yeast nutrients. Take your pick. So,
hey, I used to, when I made mead before I met Pete and before Got Mead got going really good and everything, I would go to the brew shop and I would sort of pick the yeast by what sounded good. I wasn't matching it to the recipe. I didn't know how to do that, and there wasn't really anything out there that talked about how to do that, at least not in the mead world yet. So I would be like, okay, Montrachet, that sounds good. We'll get that one this time. And then I'd get the little baggie of generic yeast nutrient because my guys didn't have Ferment K, and it didn't occur to me that they just said, no, this is good. And I trusted them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes not so much, but it was, it was what it was. So, yeah, I mean, we've got some people that have been making mead like Pete 20, 30 years. They know what they're doing, and they can give you good advice. So, don't be afraid to ask here or out in the forum. And, there's always somebody who's willing to help somebody else.
Yes. Well, it is apple season, and I know, Pete started out, he wanted to talk about size. I am definitely interested in sizers. The combination of honey and apples goes together so well. So let's talk sizers.
Yeah, well, it's apple season now, so people are, migrating up to the mountains in Southern California and the different areas in Southern California, Julian, Glen Oak Canyon, and up into San Luis Obispo area where different apple orchards are and where people make cider. And, you've got a ton of choices in front of you. What kind of cider do I want to make, or what kind of cider do I want to make? And, what kind of apples do I want in them and all that. And there's another category where my knowledge of apples and all things French cider, English cider, American cider, and all the different things is not as well-rounded as it probably could be. But the bottom line is, when I go to a cider ranch, as I like to call them, because, hey, it's a great place to get it, they always have a couple of different blends or a couple of different ways they can put the juice together for you so that you get this real nice, well-rounded kind of a sizer. And I think part of making a good sizer is balancing the tart and the sweet and the kind of like appley flavors that you're going to get out of it. So I've had a lot of sizers that are just, over the top sweet without any tang to them. I was just judging last weekend at the Southern California regional homebrew competition put on by the Inland Empire Brewers. And they had some really great, super sweet sizers, but these guys had great balance too. They managed to preserve the tang of the apple In a couple of cases, you even got that nice crackly tang from the apple skin, that nice tartness from the apple skin, and a good amount of the malic acid that went into it. And so, kind of question is, how do you kind of preserve that, and how do you keep that, appley flavor into your sizer? And again, as JD has learned in the past few months, it's been, this is all about controlling your temperature when you're fermenting and matching the right yeast with it. One of my favorite cider or sizer yeasts, I should say, for cider and for sizer is DV10. In most cases, it's going to take your cider drying, so you're going to have to either back sweeten if you want it sweet, or if you want it dry and sparkling, kind of like the way that I like mine, you're going to be very happy with it because it's going to give you this nice, clean, fast ferment. It's going to preserve the flavor of the cider and give it that nice kiss of honey to give it a little bit of character.
Does it
when you sparkle it?
I was just going to ask, if you back sweeten, since that tends to go dry, have you noticed that it muddies up the flavor, or does it just enhance?
Well, it depends on how you back sweeten. What I like to do is there was a couple of times when I've just taken concentrated apple juice and used that to back sweeten with, because it's usually, you can find out what the sugar content is by going online and taking a look at their apple concentrates, and then you can calculate that out. But a couple of cans of that, the trick is to find one that has sorbic acid in it.
Yeah.
So after you've taken your sizer dry, you go ahead and add a can or 2 cans or however fragments of can you're going to add in to get the flavor that you want and the sweetness that you want, and you're good to go. But if it has that sorbic acid in it, then it's also going to inhibit any further fermentation.
Yeah.
So you've effectively used that can and the sorbic acid in it to go ahead and basically stabilize it. It's a cheap, trick, but it works really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's my preferred way. You can add honey into the mix as well, but you have to make sure that, once you've gone to dry, then cold crash it, put all the yeast to sleep, rack off it, let it stabilize, and then go ahead and back sweeten. So you don't, reinitialize a secondary fermentation unless you're going to sparkle it. Then you can do, a secondary fermentation in a corny keg to maintain the carbonation and then rack off of it, or you can just go ahead and force carbonate it as well. Either way works. They both work fine. Some people want to be pure and say, okay, I'm only going to do this, in the bottle, and then they have to make a dosage of honey and yeast and maybe a little bit of apple juice concentrate in it to sparkle it in the bottle. Then once you've done that, then you've got to disgorge it to get the yeast off, and you've got to recap it. That's kind of a pain in the ass, but you get really good results that way. It's a very esoteric, very nice kind of a sizer that's sparkling. If you do it in the corny keg, it's more of a bulk method. It's easier to do. You can do it by either forced carbonation or just by adding some yeast and apple juice and honey into that to bring up the honey and apple juice flavor while it's carbonating itself. Forced carbonating goes quicker and easier. You don't have to rack off it again and clear it. But again, that's all up to you. So, my recommendation when you're making a sizer is if you can get out to an apple farm somewhere and go out there and taste what they've got and, have them custom make you one. I don't know if people you go to, there's one that I go to up here that you can call them up and say, hey, I want something that's, good and sharp with a little bit of sweetness to back it up. And when you get up there, you can taste it and go, oh, yeah, that's the one I want. And you can buy, I usually buy like 2 of the 5-gallon buckets, and I bring my own brew buckets up there, and they'll fill them up 5 gallons each and then charge you appropriately for them.
That's
neat. Bring it back home. Yeah, it works out really, really well. You can add your honey to it to bring it up to the starting gravity that you want. what I do is I start adding my honey, and when I get within a couple of points of where I want to be, and I mean big points rather than the hundredths, so I start tasting it, and if it's sweet and it still has that sharpness, that's what I want, then I'll just go ahead and inoculate it with yeast right there and note the Brix level right in inoculation. And that's kind of the way that I'd recommend doing it. Start adding your honey when you get about halfway up with your honey. Start tasting and see where you are, and if it's where you want it to be flavor wise, and note what the gravity / Brix measurement is there. Apples year to year change as far as sweetness and acid go, just like honey changes, just like grain for beer changes, just like grapes change for wine. So it's always good to have a target in mind, but if you find out that you're at the level that you were last year and it just seems kind of flabby, more sweet than tart with not a lot of balance there, or more tart than sweet with not a lot of balance there, if it's too acidic, if it's too sweet, you're going to want to either back off with the honey, or bring the apple tartness up. But the trick is to go ahead and add honey until you're at the point of where you actually want to be, and make sure that you're maintaining as you add. It's easier to add too little and bring it up to where you want to be than adding too much and trying to take it out, because that just never works. Then you're adjusting with acid and everything, and all of a sudden you've taken a really naturally great flavored tart, cider, that's going to turn into a cider, into something that's been adjusted all over the place and kind of lost the whole idea and the works. The other thing is to ask them what kind of apples they've got. There's some apples that are known for being more tart, some apples that are known for being more sweet. They're eating apples, there's juice apples, there's cider apples, so they can give you a rundown of what they've got. They can give you a rundown of how it's going to taste when you get up there and when you taste it. And you can find out, well, I thought I wanted really, really tart, but I guess I don't, because it's just too tart for me. Or, gosh, I guess I wanted something really sweet, but it just tastes like this really sweet apple-y thing with not a whole lot of definition to it. So it's contingent upon the maker to go up there and get familiar with what it is you're going to be making, and find out, in the different places around. Like I said, here in Southern California, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got a good 10 or 11 places that are fairly large that draw a lot of people, either for, touristy kind of visitations, or people that are serious about getting apple juice or apples. There's one in particular up in Glen Oak Canyon, out by Beaumont and Banning, that does Civil War reenactment. Actually, it's not Civil War. It's actually Revolutionary War reenactment battles out in their apple groves, which is kind of interesting.
That's fun.
I'm not exactly sure that I want to pull an apple off the tree and bite into one with a BB in it, but, hey.
Well, they're only shooting powder, so you should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no actual bullets were used in making of this reenactment.
Yeah.
Have you got some favorite apple varieties, Pete?
Well, I tend to like, out here, we get a lot of the Crips Pink, or the Pink Lady, as they're calling them popularly now.
I like those.
They're good and tart. Yeah. They're real good and tart. They're primarily an eating apple, but I like those and Macintosh apples because they both have a lot of zing to them. And then, we get a lot of Fujis and Galas out here too, which are both sweet.
Yeah, they are.
Those tend to make a pretty good one. There's some russets that have some nice character to them that kind of give it a real good flavor as well. And yeah, just a whole bunch of different kinds of apples that go into making a really good blend. And so it's, you're not going to see a lot of these in the stores. I mean, with the exception of the Galas and Fujis and Crips. But
so we get those apples year round from you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And but other things like russets and Gravensteins and things like that, you don't see all the year round, and you don't see outside of apple farms most of the time.
Yeah, so, I rarely see those.
Try these things. Yeah, go out and try them and get some different flavors underneath you. And get an idea of what they actually taste like, and how that works in your cider blend. And the other thing that I'd recommend is doing just a batch of just plain cider. In a lot of cases, people have just never made cider. You've got the apple juice, you dump the yeast into it, you check the gravity when you start, note that, and then apple cider, or just straight up cider, is going to behave very similarly to sizer. One of the things you will notice quickly with cider is when the yeast start to get stressed because they don't have enough nutrient, they will throw off sulfur very quickly. Mm-hmm. So you'll get that sulfur note pretty quickly. And so that's why it's important to be on top of them with nutrient. One of the reasons I like DV10 is because it doesn't need a lot of nutrient. But, I can't think of a batch of cider or sizer that I've done where I haven't added some nutrient to it. And that nutrient, most of the time, being DAP, followed by fermate K in the later fermentation. The reason that I say to make a cider is so that once you've made one and tasted the end product, you get an idea of how, sizers, should be kind of like bent as far as their flavor profile, the aroma, the kind of character in the mouth and all that. And then you can, kind of take that and apply it to the cider that you're making. So you can preserve the flavor of that great apple that you just went out and spent a lot of money on, and the honey that you're going to add to it that's going to have a lot of flavor to it as well. And once you've got a good idea of the juice flavor, the cider flavor, and how sharp or sweet or how well-rounded it is, you get a pretty good idea of what kind of honey you can use with it. And I think honey choices are important for ciders. So, it's usually my approach to go with a less pronounced honey unless I've got a super strong cider apple in there that's really going to have a signature profile that's going to be hard to override, in which case I'll go with a more distinct honey. But I like using clover and sage. Those are both really good, in my opinion, for apples. Sometimes orange blossom, depending on where it's from and what kind you're using. So it's all about getting to know the apples, getting to know the cider, getting familiar enough with the cider where you go, oh yeah, this will work out really good with a sizer based on this kind of honey, whether it's clover, orange blossom sage. Sometimes you want to use mesquite. Sometimes you want to use other honeys. But get to know your primary ingredient. Get to know those apples. What it's all about, what it's doing, and get to know the honey that you're going to be using as well to make sure that they're a good match.
Okay. So, and just as a pointer there may be a few people out there going, what the hell is he talking about, sizers and ciders? Sizer is a cider it's got honey in it. It's mead made with apple juice and honey. Yeah, it occurred to me that maybe there might be a few people who don't know. So I'm going to let them know.
Sure. Yeah, it's basically a mellow mel that's made specifically with apples.
Is the when you're selecting the honey to use, is there a I don't know, is there any recommendation on the type of honey, the flavor of honey? Honeys run the gamut out there, as far as flavors.
Well, that's what I was talking about before when I was talking about clover and sage and orange blossom. Alfalfa honey's good for it. Clover honey's good for it. I like sage. Sometimes I like orange blossom. It's going to depend on the strength of the honey. If it's a really distinct honey that has, a lot of character to it, it might not be something that you're going to want to press up against the apple unless the apple's super strong, and it's not going to be affected to the point of losing some of that character that you're looking for. Generally, the lighter varieties of honey, with the exception maybe of Tupelo and a couple others, are going to be fairly good picks because they're not going to be super pronounced like a darker honey would be, say, like buckwheat or pecan or avocado or cotton honey or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be afraid of, the honey overtaking the apple, and then it's kind of a moot point there.
Right, and then it's just apple-flavored mead.
Right.
Yeah. Instead
of a cider.
Yeah, and the other one that I don't know if you said clover, and some of the others, and wildflower is another one. And I don't know, I kind of like orange blossom, but you're right, I can see where it might overtake depending on the apples. But if you got a really, fruit forward apple, I think that would work out okay, because I kind of like the combination when it balances.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is finding that balance, and that's where it's really important to get to know the apples that you're going to be using, and know the honeys that you're using too, because it makes a difference. It really does. You have to adjudicate, what you're going to be using and so on.
Well, and I think this is a good place for you if you're going to make 5 recommendation. If you've got a big load of cider and you're not sure about the honey, do 2 or 3 gallon batches and try different honeys and see what you end up with. It's if you follow good fermentation techniques, you're going to end up with a drinkable product. It may not be the exact flavor profile you're looking for, but it'll give you a really good idea of what honeys hold up against particular apples and what can balance.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so I like doing that. And then besides that way, if you go to an apple producer who sells their stuff in 1 gallon jugs, then you've already got all those 1 gallon batch experiments ready to go. A couple cups of cider out of each one, add some honey, and away you go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, it's funny because, you have all these different things. And that's the other thing is, a lot of people, I keep saying this is generally, at this point I don't, but most of the time I'll have several different batches of mead, sitting basically in various little stacks, as I like to call them. They're just little groups, dry, sweet, and, semi-sweet. And so when I've just fermented something and it's kind of like on the cusp of being sweet or dry, I can go over to one of these other meads that I've got and take a look at what's there and say, hey, this one will match up just great with it, and make an adjustment to the mead that I want to go sweet or dry based on that. So it's one of those kind of things where you kind of have to look at it and say, well, this is kind of dry, but it's got a lot of great flavor to it. I wonder about if I take it completely dry, which of these meads that I have here will go good with that. Again, it's all about taste, and it's all about your own style. So have to be kind of careful about blending, but once you taste and kind of make a couple of little, early on passes at it, hey, if I add, 2 ounces of this to 10 ounces of that, it turns out really good. It's dry, but it's got a lot of flavor. So I'd recommend, if you're making, traditionals, to make a few of them and make an extra batch while you're making your single batch. Run parallel batches. That'll tell you a lot about your technique right there. If one of them turns out dry and one of them turns out sweet, you did something wrong to one of them, right? If you do 3 of them, then you've got the best 2 out of 3. It's like, hey, I did this on these 2 and it worked great. I didn't do this on the 3rd one, and it's like, yeah, something's gone awry inside that fermenter. I wonder what it is. You go back and look at your notes and you go, oh, there it is. I didn't bother to aerate that one those 4 days for some reason. So it's one of those kind of things where you really have to put some thought into it. And I know in this day and age, thinking rather than getting instant gratification is kind of, not popular. But you know what? Grow up, do your diligence, put the work into it. Anything that you want to be good at is going to take practice. And it's the same way with learning how to taste. We always get these questions about, How do I develop my palate? How do I learn to taste this? How do I learn to taste that? It's all about practice, man. You know, and if you're practicing stuff sloppily, you're going to be sloppy when you're doing things. You know, people always say practice makes perfect. I totally disagree. Perfect practice makes perfect. You know, you got to have somebody over there standing over your shoulder, you know, whipping on your knuckles when you're playing on the piano to make sure you're keeping your fingers curved and your elbows out and your arms going straight into your elbows so the wrist tension is way down, and so you have quiet wrists and using your fingers to push the keys down instead of pounding on them with your arm. You know, it's the same way with making mead. You gotta be spot on when you're doing stuff and follow the technique. And once you've developed the technique that yields results, and you got to keep doing it over and over and over again until it's second nature. It's muscle, you know, reflex. You don't even think about it. You just do it. That's when you can start improvising and having fun with it and adding your own style to it. That's the one thing that I, you know, preach is, yeah, it's a basic thing. You have to learn the basics, and if you learn the basics and you're sloppy with your basics, you're going to be sloppy with your mead. And you know, there's a lot of commercial producers out there that are making great stuff, but it's the ones that are very, very spot on with their technique and their process and their methodology that put out great stuff consistently. And it's interesting to see there's even large producers out there that are very inconsistent. I've seen their product on the shelf. I've seen 3 bottles that look and taste 3 different ways. I won't buy their stuff. Yeah. Because I know they're not paying any attention to it. Doesn't matter if they're big or small. If they're not putting out a consistent product, I'm not going to spend money on it. Excuse me.
And many of them have fallen off the map too. I mean, every year I see ones that disappear, and you know, some of it's just marketing or they ran out of money, but for a lot of them, it's just that they weren't able to create a consistent product for whatever reason. You know, coming back around to sizers for a second. The BJCP definition of sizers is mead made with apple juice or apples. And the way they put it is made with apples, and then in parentheses, primarily apple juice, indicating that and I know people who have done this too, that sometimes they actually use apples with the pulp, and, you know, like we do the whole fruit for other types of melomel. So have you done that, and what was it like, and what are your thoughts around that? Because I know I've seen that asked on Got Mead too. People, like, what if I just mash the apples and throw them all in there, you know?
Yeah, that's fine. To me, it's just easier to get the juice in there. But yeah, I'll actually take and skin apples, especially Macintoshes and those pink Crips, and throw the skin into the fermenter too, because that'll give me some of that nice skin acidity, that crispness, that tartness from the skin. Once I, you know, peel them and mash them up a little bit and throw it in there, that'll bring a lot of that astringency into it. I've used just the unsweetened apple sauce from like Trader Joe's and other places that don't have preservatives in it to get that pulp into it too. It's a pulpy mess when you do that. So don't do it unless you've got a way to get that crap out of there when you're racking off of it. And racking off of it can be a pain in the ass too. So sometimes you got to take that brew bucket, heft it up, and pour it over a funnel with a strainer in it to get it into a spot where you can actually rack or filter. Do I filter when I do stuff like that? Hell yes. You know, put a big, you know, simple filter on it to begin with, and then go with a gradually finer and finer filter until it's, you know, cleared. I've used apple butter. That makes a very interesting sizer.
Well, not bad.
A few jars of apple butter into that, you get that real heavy, you know, character from the apple butter on top of the honey and the crispness of the apple, and you got pretty interesting piece of Americana there with everything thrown into one little glass. So, or a big glass, depending on if you're using one of my glasses.
Trader Joe's good ingredients, isn't it?
Oh yeah, TJ is great for getting little things. Yeah. He used to tease me with TJ's. He's like, so I went to TJ's and got this really amazing steak today. We didn't have Trader Joe's then. So he was constantly teasing me, but we have them now. But it's $3 chuck here instead of $2 chuck like it is for you guys. So.
Well, they're closer to $3 chuck here now.
Oh, are they?
Mr.
Okay.
Charles Shaw. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought about that. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm telling you now, though, if you're going to go into Trader Joe's in search of $2 Chuck, walk by the $2 Chuck and go for the block red or block white. It's a cardboard box with the bladder in it that's got the equivalent of 4 bottles of Shiraz or Chardonnay, both Australian made, for about $10. And it's very passable wine. I've actually, on a couple of different occasions, had people over and got my decanters out and decanted the red into 2 decanters and put it on the table and listened to people rave about it. Oh, you got to tell me what this is. This is great. Blah, 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 blah.
And what was
so then I walk over to the pantry and I just pull the box out and I go, it was a good week.
Oh, funny.
I like using. I usually use the Charles Shaw Merlots when I cook.
Yeah, I'll buy a case of Chuck to yeah, I keep it for cooking wine. I don't drink it much, but it makes pretty decent cooking wine.
Yeah,
half a bottle of the $2 Chuck red, in a really nice.
Oh, there's some stellar Merlots out there. And Sideways did Merlot an injustice.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe a little bit, but my personal experience has been that 80% of Merlots are crap and the other 20% are pretty good, but it's so hard to weed out the ones that are awful. That's why I always come to you when I'm looking to get something like that, because I know you drink a lot more wine than I do. So
there's a lot of great Merlots out there.
But there's unfortunately a lot of icky ones too, sadly.
Being the producer, I'm on the other side of the studio staring at the clock, and we are in overtime. So,
so what else is new?
Yeah, so what else is new?
Exactly.
Guys, that was with 20 minutes of unrecorded conversation before we started all of this.
Yeah, exactly. Which one, maybe 2 controversial things were said.
Well, yeah, if we're not a little controversial, people get bored. And besides, anybody who knows anything about you knows that if they're probably really sick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Halloween is tomorrow, so.
It is tomorrow, yeah. I'm gonna be out playing with black powder this weekend, so mortars and muskets and carbines, oh my.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's supposed to be a really nice crisp weekend too, so campfire time, totally.
Oh, that'd be great. Hey, you can buy campfires with black powder and have lots of fun.
I have all kinds of fun, I know, right? Yeah, we save that for twice a year when we get to shoot our cannon, and 3 times next year because we're going to go out and participate in the National Artillery Competition in Grayling, Michigan. But yeah, it's fun. I don't want to waste it by putting it in a fire when I can use it to throw lead down range.
Actually, what I'd really like to see is a pumpkin stuffed with black powder and a primer in it, hurled off of a ballista.
We've done that.
Pumpkin bomb.
Not at this event, but there are people who have done that. Oh, you'll like this one, totally off topic, at the what used to be the Carolina Renaissance Festival, North Carolina Renaissance Festival in Raleigh years ago. It used to be at the State Fairgrounds. And we had people who were into artillery, so they were building trebuchets and ballista and, other fun toys like that. For anybody who doesn't know, the trebuchet is kind of like a catapult, and it flips things up in the air in a long distance. So anyway, they made a miniature one that was maybe 6.
Hello, Vicky.
Oh, it sounds like she's dropped off.
Well,
sorry guys. Every time my phone rings, it puts me on hold, and my phone is suddenly ringing off the hook for some reason. Where did you lose me?
6 feet.
6 feet by 8 feet. Yeah, not a very big one, but anyway, they loaded the cup of the thing up with several bags of peeps, like Easter peeps, and then we lit them on fire and flung them.
Oh wow!
Flaming peeps.
Flaming Peeps. Yeah, it was really, really good. Unfortunately, the fairgrounds did not think so, and we got in a little bit of trouble. So, yeah, right down. We were right down in front of the stadium where on the track where they do the stock car races during the state fair, and yeah, shooting flaming peeps through the air. The audience loved.
So Vicky's playing with her black powder. So if you live in North Carolina on Halloween, I suggest you stay in the house.
We aren't going to be near any of the houses. We're way out in a field. But
all right.
Some years we use giant pumpkin to empty our hot ones into. If the blows over, still have a shot in the barrel. That's always fun.
And as part of my ongoing scientific study of the meanderings of basic trick-or-treaters, I will be out tagging rogue trick-or-treaters and tracking them.
No way! That's so funny.
Well, I take it we've wrapped the Ask Oscar segment and have moved into the wrap-up of the show.
Yeah. This is what happens after. This is the kind of stuff that happens after the recording gets turned off.
Yeah. For those of you who always wondered what happens in the after part, but
just letting you know we're not normal. In case you were thinking that we were.
Yeah, if you thought this was some kind of a radio station,
never mind. Yeah.
Well, I certainly learned. I certainly learned quite a bit, and I mean, just the short piece about the nutrient thing kind of eased my mind a little bit. I kind of knew what to do beforehand because I've been talking to Pete, and he's been helping me with these 2 recipes that I've got going. But I mean, it's still out there. You go to these brew shops, you're faced with a shelf full of nutrients, and they're telling you one thing. Each one of them are actually telling you something different, and here, try this, try that. And then, of course, the sizer thing. I'm eager to get into doing some sizers, but I want to complete my first 2 projects I've got going. I got to be careful how much I get going in the house here.
Wife get mad at you?
Well, yeah. When it starts taking up, when it starts encroaching into the living room and the bedroom.
You just need to do like Pete and just convert your garage,
If I had a garage, I would.
Okay. Then build a garage and then convert it.
Or work out some kind of a deal and come down and use Pete's garage. But
that's his mad scientist cave. I think he only sells tickets to that on it. Like alternating blue moons.
Well, I still haven't gotten an invitation to come down there and visit yet. So
yeah, it's in the process of. I'm going to be doing renovations here right after the beginning of the year, so the garage is going to get a bit of a garage makeover because it's turned into a catch-all of a. Because I've got other stuff in there actually now besides my mead making equipment, and
okay.
I've got to do clean out and all that kind of stuff. I've got a weight machine in there and a treadmill and all that, and it's kind of made it to I don't have as much room as I used to, so I've had to offload some stuff into the side building on the property here, and yes, I have a side building, and so I've got to coordinate and figure out. I'm going to do some things in there because it was all just slab floor before. I'm going to go ahead and paint that with that epoxy paint and put some new drywall up and give it a fresh coat of paint and all that kind of thing. So I'm in the process of kind of planning that out. But I've got a couple of batches that I want to get underway because I've got some experiments that I need to do. And so
fun and games. So the mad scientist lab is getting pimped. Pimp my garage. I don't know. Did we just lose Pete? Pete, did we just lose you? I think we did. Maybe his phone rang.
Well, it could have been. Yep, Pete just dropped off. So
yeah. Well, it's weird because I got 2 phone calls while we were doing this, and apparently, when you're on Skype on your phone, it puts Skype on. It helpfully puts Skype on hold for you when a call comes in. Well,
that's why. Well, that's one of the other reasons why I have to use 2 Skypes when we're doing a show. I've got 2 Skypes running on my system here.
Yeah, I know you do. You've got you and then you as the group.
Yep, and then and if anybody. Well, I mean, without getting into all the technical stuff, it's very difficult sometimes if somebody
just figured out that he dropped.
Yeah. if people try to contact you on Skype, it'll put the whole show on hold. So we've got to be careful about that. But
we'll bring Pete back in so that we can say bye, and then we can wrap this up.
Trying to get him. There we go.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah, I know, you got booted and I got put on hold, and none of it was JD's fault. So blames.
Yeah, that's what you say now.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's got all the buttons over there. I don't know what he's doing.
Someday I'll take a screenshot and show you this layout. It spreads across 3 screens here that I have to manage, and I've got 2 mice that I manage at the same time. So, but anyway.
See, now you'd love my workstation set up at the office. It's 6 screens.
Yeah, there you go. I'm actually contemplating cutting down to 2 of the 34-inch curved screens, but that's a whole other discussion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now we're going into what is really, when you scrape all of the honey away from our profession, and you uncover that we're all really geeks,
Yeah.
Or at least a lot of us are. Anyway.
We're all refugees from information technology.
Amazing, and amazingly high percentages are. I mean, it stuns me sometimes. Makes me wonders.
The only person we're missing for the wrap up here is AJ, but I'm sure we'll spend a few minutes with her when we come back. But
she's probably out molesting an insiderless bunny.
But we were just trying to wrap up here when we suddenly lost Pete, but the nutrient.
So we brought him back to say bye-bye.
Good information there about the nutrient thing. But now I know what to do. Of course, I think I've known for a while because.
Yeah, you just like to ask questions. That's it.
Well, I know that there are other people out there like me who are either considering or just starting out, or maybe just a few months into it and face the same kind of thing when they go to their brew shop.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a case of information overload in a lot of cases. There's a lot out there, and honestly, this is another one of those areas where the KISS principle really comes into play. Keep it simple, stay on track, follow the recipes, and it'll work. Don't get crazy into it's like when you're cooking. JD, you like to cook, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
The first time you make a new recipe that you found, you make it the way they said to see what it tastes like. Then you go, oh well, I really thought this should have more garlic, and the next time you do it your way.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how much pasta noodles I put down the garbage disposal because I got the combination of eggs and flour and Seminola wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, John and I like to invent stuff. We love to cook.
Sure.
If we get a new recipe, we'll make it one time. The first time, we always make it exactly the way it says, and then when we eat it, we analyze it and decide: is it what we thought it was going to be? Do we like it? Does it need to be different? And then the next time, if it gets designated as a repeatable recipe for us, then we personalize it the next time. And
then the discussion on sizers, kind of a new category for me. I'm eager to want to get involved in that. I mean, California apples out here. And like Pete said, there are numerous places, a little bit of a distance. But
yeah, the place to go to, JD, is up in San Luis Obispo. It's called Gopher Gulch.
Gopher Gulch.
Gopher Gulch. That's good. I like that. Yeah, I miss one of the things I miss about being in Michigan is that Michigan's apple country, and we had some amazing apples there. And North Carolina's got a pretty good apple industry over in the mountains, but the variety here is not quite as broad as what I grew up with. So it's still pretty good, though. They've got some pretty nice apples.
Any famous last words here before we knock this segment out, Pete?
Remember to spindle, fold, and mutilate wherever possible.
And don't forget that it's rape, then pillage, then burn in that order.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, happy Halloween, everybody. I know when you hear this, it'll be late, but hope you had a great Halloween weekend. And
it might even be the next day too.
It might even, yeah. And thanks again, Pete, for bringing us some interesting information and discussion around mead making.
Hey, that's right. It was fun as usual, and like I say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. 3 do.
There you go.
Or 2 wrongs, or 2 wrongs make a left. It depends on what you're looking at.
Or 2 lefts make a right.
That could be too.
All right, back to AJ, Vicky, and JD in the studio. We'll see you later.
Later, bye.
Well, I think we've pretty much solved all the world's problems. I think we performed a couple surgeries, and God, what else happened?
Oh yeah, we were talking about Chris's bedside manner or lack thereof, and
we got Chris from Mississippi hanging out with us. Hamish from Melbourne, Australia. He's also in the house.
Yeah.
And gosh, Vicky, we just got done with an hour long of Ask Oscar that was actually pretty darn good. This is the season, apple season. It's the fall apple juice, apple ciders out there. And it's all about the honey and what kind of apples you want to put in your cider. So,
and he didn't get into that when you go into Weird land by adding other things to the sizer, like spices and what have you. But I get picked on by a lot of people for this, but I am like a total out of the world fan of spice sizers. Love them, love them, love them.
Oh, that's what I was drinking.
Yeah, I adore
cider,
a spice sizer. Hot or cold, it's just the best.
And we started out that session. We're talking about the nutrient thing, and it wasn't necessarily about what nutrient do you use and how much. It was a new mead maker faced with you go to the brew shop. You ask the guy behind the counter, I need a nutrient or this nutrient, I need that nutrient for my mead, but they don't have it. But hey, I got this, I got that, I got this other stuff in this little 2-ounce baggy thing.
But didn't we have this conversation in Ask Oscar like an hour ago?
Yeah. And so, Oscar kind of explained, how that works. And so it was a pretty good session. So
it really was. Yeah. He did some good stuff with sizers. So hopefully you guys liked it. And for those of you who bopped off and are going to listen to it later, I think you will.
So I always like to end the show with a mention or two. This one actually comes out of the Hive. This is
it looks like you're playing pin the tail on the patron, but go ahead.
This is out of the "Oh my God, I'm so happy" thread in the Hive in the GotMe.com forum. And it's about daylight savings time. And Poker Face Pablo, I think it is. What
a great forum name. Yeah. Poker Face Pablo. Love it.
Yeah, but he and Hamish are actually having this conversation. But Poker Face Pablo says, I was listening to Vicky narrate your messages on Got Me Live last Tuesday. He's referring to you and Hamish when we.
Oh yeah, when I was reading Hamish's the Skype messages.
Kuda Putty Cat.
Kuda Putty Cat. No, that's what he calls you. I just call you Hamish. Yeah, that's
well, the record is Kuda Putchat.
Kuda Putchat. Gotcha. See, now we've actually heard it pronounced correctly. Finally, thank you, Hamish.
And so Hamish is going on talking about how he's got 3 monitors, always has Skype on all the time, and then Manny gets into the conversation and he says. He's just got to start listening to the show. So here's your shout
Seriously, Manny, you were like one of the most enthusiastic patrons ever to come on Got Me. You're just getting around to this? I'm hurt.
Manny,
really.
Shame on
Seriously
you.
hurt.
So there's your shout out, man. I told you I was going to do it, so there it is. What took you so long?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, don't worry. I've been giving him a hard time too.
Oh, good. Thank you, Hamish. I appreciate it. Oh, Thunder from down under.
So with that, ladies, gentlemen.
And just to put it out there, because this will, Hamish had us on speakerphone all over the office today.
Oh, I'm sure that'll make itself into the forum too.
Yeah.
But hey, another fun night here, party night on Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock. Join us next week one more time. at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on GotMead.com. Got Mead Live. Thanks for...
Wait, don't go away yet. Don't forget, next week we have Jennifer Cost at Legendary Meads, yet another up-and-coming, not yet open meadery. Don't miss it. You want to be there. So that being said, bye.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Hamish, AJ, Vicky. We'll see you all next week.
Night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.